Hey guys, it's AJ back. It's been a couple of days or so. I haven't uploaded or shared with you anything, but I had some things happening. So this is kind of a, an update and a quick reflection as to, the fuckery continues. So for the record, it's 11:30 Monday, March 17th. So I'm back to Calgary. Like I said, life throws things at you, and I had just come back from Lethbridge. I had gone to Lethbridge 3 days ago, and I had basically left the hotel in Brooks, or so-called Crooks, and I did share my incident at the at the community mosque. The incident had nothing to do with the community. I understand. The incident has to do with the administration of the so-called Muslim Association of Calgary and Brooks, and basically that's where the administration is managing the needs, so to speak, right, and the concerns of the supposed to be Muslim population in Brooks, which is, I believe, they amount to about 1,000 people. Crooks is about 14,000 people population, so there's about 15% or so sizable Muslim indigenous population that actually do not speak Arabic. Most of them don't speak Arabic. At least when I was at the mosque, I only saw maybe one or two. No, actually just one, maybe two people that actually can speak Arabic. But they don't have the fluency of the language, so you gotta speak with them with the very limited vocabulary, so it's hard to engage, and they don't speak English, so go figure. Nobody knows anything, but I did speak with a person, and it's interesting because he did have something to say interesting about that fact that today's science is nothing but blasphemy and secular propaganda that he does not conform to. So that's great, good to know, and I do agree with him. I'm not so to speak here to prop someone over another things. It's just the facts. The facts is, and not what you're told, not what you're parroted. You're taught to parrot information wise. So anyways, I went to Lethbridge. I figured, I had read over the, horror stories. So I had actually, during my stay at the Days Inn, there's a staff that I actually had been talking to, after 10 days, you get to talk to people. So I had spoken with some, locals as well, and, most people were coming into the Days Inn at the time for work. Like myself, the only difference is I work for myself. Everybody else, they're working for someone, mostly oil and gas. There's also some lady I met, she had come to Brooks, and she stayed at the Days Inn because they had some function for the French culture and, language training, whatnot. So, it's good to know that, all of course courtesy of the government of Canada, right? So and that's not a problem. You have public trust. That is, it's not like the government is your uncle pocket, right? It's a public tax, it's a public purse. So anyways, I go to Lethbridge, and I had heard some mixed stories, so to speak, about the indigenous Japanese population, Canadian Japanese, that were supposedly in British Columbia, and then after World War II, the Japanese had been basically oppressed in Canada, and their legal rights actually were suspended, so to speak. They could not vote in Canadian elections because of the association to Japan, right? And there's nothing to do with Japan. They're Canadian. They just happen to have Japanese culture, and they're maintaining their Japanese culture. And the culture, is basically values, right? It's aside from the arts and the music and the way you express yourself, it's culture. That's how you express yourself. There's music to side component to it. There's also values. That's how you raise your kids to believe, irrespective of what denomination, what belief system you want to have. It's moral compass. Be good versus be bad. That's kind of what it boils down to. Either be a good person, righteous person, try to do the right thing, or just go and do things that you want to do, irrespective of what the rule of the law is. And the rule of the law is very simple. In Canada, we are a secular country, and essentially we have the secular code and their civil code, so to speak, secular laws and their civil laws and civil code, and we also have the common law under pick your favorite book scriptures. So if you're in a Christian country such as Canada, last I checked, it would have been the rule of the law under the common law would have been the Bible. So the values and the offenses and the punishment thereof, for example, is all going to be based on the rule of the law being the Bible. Likewise, if you're a Muslim, you would be basically going with the common law between you and the rest of the population, and the majority of the people, common law would be the Quran. And again, you go back to the Quran and the teaching of the Quran to understand what are acts that can be considered an offense versus a punishable offense or not, right? So and again, the idea is this: there are no laws, so to speak, to tell you what to do as a good thing. right? There are, if you notice, even in civil code, for example, right? Civil code or any other belief system, there's nothing in the book that tells you to do good, like go help somebody change a tire. It doesn't tell you that, right? Like, it does not tell you specifics. Overall, it's just be a good person, help people in need, right? And mind your own business, so to speak. That's a natural law, right? Everybody has that natural right for themselves. So, and believers believe there's a creator. So we submit to the fact that there's the Lord Almighty, the creator. And listen, there's nothing to do with what you want to believe, but understand, the true believers, at least, the people of faith, they all, resonate with the fact that there's only one Lord. I'm not going into the details, this concept of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I mean, you know what, that's great. That's a great concept, but, we just don't buy that. I do not buy that. Other people may not. It's not. That's my belief. Great. I respect you. Great. You respect me. Great. Now, but the idea is this, the Father, the Father, you have to understand, it's not the Father in the physical sense. Father is in the spiritual sense, right? And that's good. That's good, because we all need that Father, a spiritual connection, right? Because, the human person, the human, so to speak, the human body, right? That when you are born, you're just a human being. You're a little child. You're attached to your mother naturally. A man and woman crosses, and naturally they would get a child, right? And that's the idea. And you have to understand why. What the main distinction between secular world agenda or belief, or so to speak, pseudoscience, versus the true laws, which comes from nature, right? Because everything, at the end of the day, when you think of it, secular laws are what? Secular laws, they reject the notion of the creator, but they submit to the fact that we have to obey some other laws. And what other laws do we have to submit to? If you're a secular person, you tell me. Well, it's going to be natural laws, because without natural laws, you could not. I'm an aerospace engineer. I keep saying, the fact that you could not even, manufacture or even think about manufacturing even this technology gadget I'm holding in my hand, which, again, I'm going to get a notice about shitty SSDs. But you have to understand, you could not design a plane. If you want to design a plane, the plane has to be able to basically be designed to, to conform to specific laws that, you have gravity, you have lift, you have to be able to basically, overcome the mass of the plane, the cargo, everything to lift it, thousands of feet up in the sky, right? And then you have to have enough energy to actually propel. So you have to submit to natural laws. There's a lot of things that's why you have universities. Otherwise, why do you go to school? Why do you want to be an engineer? I mean, that's what engineers do. We essentially, design. Essentially, we bring an idea from inception to, mass production to reality. But again, it has to conform to natural laws. And we scientists understand that. We engineers understand that. We builders understand that. There's something called common sense, right? Common sense, it's just common sense, man. So anyways, and we come up with equations, we invent languages called mathematics, called, to capture those, natural. So we observe, right? Like right now, it's bright, sunny, right? So it's daylight. No shit, it's daylight. So daylight, and then you observe natural universal phenomena, as well as so universal natural phenomena we observe on this planet we call Mother Earth. So that is what science. And then we have the scientific method where you go about you observe, and then you collect data. So that's the data collection aspect of it. And then you go about the data and you try to weed out good versus bad data, so to speak, right? But initially because you also have a human error when you take measurements. You're relying on your ability to judge, right? And and it's the average overall that you look, and then when you measure something and you look, and it's the same thing. Well, you're observing a phenomena. So, and it has to basically obey some certain laws, and these are universal laws. And we are live on planet Earth. Planet Earth would be basically the jurisdiction. So it's going to be natural laws, natural to the planet Earth, because other planets do not have the same gravity as you have learned in school so far, right? This is elementary basic knowledge. So the main problem is this: the inability for most people who are like secular, so to speak, not because they're secular, because they're scientists. They call themselves scientists, and then they're still on the fence of, oh, well, there's God or there's no God, so to speak, because they look at the world. When you look at the state of the world, everything, there are wars, and the only people fighting are those people on that they call themselves Christian, Muslim, or Jews or Hindus. Those are the only four people that are fighting in the world. I mean, you don't see two random people on the street picking up a fight just because one is wearing a turban, the other guy is just that shouldn't happen, right? I mean, we live in Canada. I'm here recording myself under a tree. Hopefully, we're safe. Relatively, we're safe, right? And this is the idea, but you have to understand. So the secular agenda essentially is the rejection of the supreme natural basically the supreme being, the supreme that created everything, the creator, right? The supreme, it's called the supreme, right? Elion, Elohim, that's in Hebrew. And if you're Christian, you say hallelujah, and if you're Arab, you say la ilaha illallah. So in each book, for example, like you can call me, my name is Asia, but I tell you what, you can't call me Mike, you can't call me Jack. I'm telling you what my name is. So now you have to understand, Christianity or Islam or Judaism started all the way back in what we call today Middle East. So you live here in North America. First of all, you have no idea if you're not indigenous to the Middle East region. And again, it's not about being you have to be indigenous to be a true believer. No, you have to be basically indigenous yourself to understand you as a human being. Because if you're a person of faith, you're a person of faith. You have accepted the fact that there's Allah. There's a supreme law, Allah. That's it. But if you have not accepted that, then you're a secular guy and you really don't care, and you cannot really judge on events and life that is taking somewhere else remotely. You have not witnessed, you have not experienced, so you cannot just, no matter how much you read or videos you watch, like I'm talking right now, and the experience you live is the experience you live, right? And the pain you carry is the pain you carry. So. But as a human being, who is a person of faith, well, basically, empathize and understand that this is something not supposed to happen. Under the rule of the law, common law, injustice, nobody likes injustice. So that's basically what the issue is. That's what the issue is. We have corrupt souls everywhere. I was kicked out from a community mosque. Understand? Why is this important? I'm saying this. Right, because there's a lot of people like my issue is not with the fact that you want to be a Muslim, a Christian, or some other denomination. Good for you, but understand there's a reason when you go about claiming that you're a community mosque, right? For so-called there's about 100,000 Calgarian 100,000 Calgarian, yes, in Calgary that call themselves Muslims, and Brooks just so happen to basically follow and be an arm's length of the Calgary Muslim Association, but they are in Brooks. They're about like an hour and a half or so away, right? So and the idea is this: you are in the chair of the community, so to speak. You are in the administration of the mosque, so to speak. Yes, administration, because you need to manage the resources, and then you need to tend to the needs and the concerns of those people, right? And you are the leader supposed to be, and the masses are praying behind you. The masses are standing right behind you, right? So they're standing behind you and they're following your basically lead, right? When you start the prayer, they start the prayer. When you go down, when you bow down, they bow down, and etc. You are the Imam, so called, right? So, and I just find it, very insulting to people's intelligence. And this is why, for example, they realize that this guy does not give a shit about culture, because Islam is Islam. It's a way of life, right? And I'm here in a place with people full of different religion, and there's a guy from Punjab, right? He does not speak Arabic. He's a Muslim, right? The Punjab people are the same people you see wearing the turban, right? So like I told you, I could be wearing a turban to the side. All of a sudden, I'm a Sikh, right? But this is not about the name and the labeling. You have to understand, those people in administration are entrusted, and we go back to trust law. So a trust law, you trust what? You trust the fact that the government right now is going to basically, safeguard and protect your what? Inalienable national rights and freedom. Right? Inalienable, because it's the fact that they are secular people. It's a civil code, so it's a secular agenda, because we have all walks of life in Canada. You have to understand, we have all walks of life in Canada. You have the Hindu, the Afghani, the Taliban, you name it, man. You name it. You have everybody, right? The Russian, the African, you name it. So you don't have to travel much. Right? Disturbing the peace. This is the city. So this is the civil. So understand, the civil is the industrialized world. And the industrial revolution, 300 years ago or so, we did not have, the roads and the building. And again, I'm not suggesting you go to the caves. No, you have to understand what I'm trying to tell you. Because we had the ancient pyramids at the time. We had the Tartarian Empire. We had the Azteca, Mayan culture and ancient civilization, right? Human civilization. Because at the end of the day, the notion that God only existed 6,000 years ago with the Abrahamic religions is bogus. It's bullshit. I mean, okay, so if at the end of the day, you go back to the book and it tells you like the world, the earth, Mother Earth did not start 6,000 years ago. Understand, the Abrahamic religion started about 6,000 years ago, and that's when they basically the Torah came first. The Torah and Moses came first, right? Because Moses was not a Jew, they didn't have Torah before. So you have to understand, there's always predecessor. So you have someone who's behind you always. And you always go back to that point that, okay, Big Bang Theory, okay, science wants to know the trillion, or, I don't know what number you want to put to it. Like, you know, it's to just simply what, get to the fact, or get to the question, you know, is there a God or not? Now, you know, Stephen Hawking was, you know, a renowned physicist, you know, he's an atheist. Okay, well, guess what? You know, God's particle. Because, again, at the end of the day, as an engineer, you have to design something. Then it has to conform to something. That's the problem. We know this as engineers. It's, you know, real life is not. It's only, we're trying to basically take, you know, 20. So we design into a window. You design into a window, and it has to conform to that, because you cannot just design to all things under the sun. You have to give us a window to design to. And that's the difference between reality versus the truth that you are living day-to-day life. So you are a human being. Where reality is basically is, you know, what they're trying to do. Reality is your perception. Of course it's your perception, because, you know, you have 5 senses. You have 5 senses. Of course it's your perception. Of course, you know, I need to sense the environment, because, you know, if I cannot sense and, you know, interact with the environment, I would not be able to, you know, understand my reality as, you know, what my nature. Who am I? So who am I? Okay, well, no shit. So you are now a secular person, so you believe you're a monkey. Okay, great, you're a monkey. You know, you evolved to being the, you know, to have that body, you know, human form of a body of human form. Great, good for you. But you know, the intellect that remains of a monkey, because you still reject the facts before your eyes, right? The facts before your eyes, rather than reading shit propaganda that you are just simply told that this is the truth. You have not even investigated the truth for yourself. So how come and how can you believe that the person telling something, it has to be the ultimate truth or the truth itself? You are just simply listening, and you have not bothered. Because now we're getting into the fact that there's a trust factor between you and the person that has told you something, and now you suddenly are believing it blindly, right? So understand, you know, the trust has to be there. And now the common law, basically, the people, when they say, you know, in God we trust. What God? So, you know, Allah is one. So we trust. People of faith last time, you know, those Abrahamic religion, right? You know, they call, you know, if you're Arab, you say Allah. You know, if you're, you know, again, if you're a Christian Arab, you say Allah. And if you're a Hebrew Arab, you say Elohim. It doesn't matter. So because in the books, Allah is telling you what His name is. You don't have to call Him something else that He did not call Himself. So we know Allah has, you know, Allah, and He has 99 names that you can call Him with, Asma al-Husna. Likewise, and that's, you know, the Arabic, that's, you know, in the book. So, you know, again, the Bible, if you speak Aramaic or if you speak Hebrew, the original Bible, that is, not the King James Version. I have to understand. Because now they Latinize. When you take a scripture and then you translate it from the original text, the indigenous language that it had been brought to the tribe, to the people of the land, to remind them. Because remember, those people were the stooges of the world, right? Like I said, it's not like people did not understand, like the Mayan or the ancient, or, you know, they of course did understand the concept of the supreme being, and of course they had the ability. And when you read in the books, when you read about the King Solomon, and, you know, listen, you have to understand, you have to reason. Science is nothing but what? The observation of natural and, you know, universal phenomena we observe. And the people of faith understand there are more to the human body, just the human body. That's just the physical. So if you draw a triangle, that is your holy temple, right? You have the body, right? The mind, and the will. Because without the will, right, I wouldn't be breathing right now. And it's not up to me. The will is up to who? The Lord. Because suddenly I could just lose my breath. It's an act of God. That's what they call it. That's it. So you have to understand, the will at the end of the day is universal, right? The will is universal. I could not force you to listen to this far. If you made it this far, 17, 18 minutes, good for you. Thank you. Like, you know, you're helping yourself, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to repeat information for myself. I'm sharing my knowledge. So yeah, that trust law is very important. And, you know, at the end of the day, we are all just human. So do not come at me and tell me, oh, civilization just started 6,000 years ago, because no, that's when the Abrahamic religion came down to earth with different prophets and messengers and all the distinction between the Christian and the Muslim and the Jews. So you have to understand. So Jews are there. They were stooges, right? So they were sent, basically Moses, you know, later on, because remember, Abraham was not a Jew. He was Abraham, right? Up until later on, you know, you had Moses, and, you know, prior to Moses, you had King Joseph, right? And what happened to Joseph? You know, his, you know, 11 brothers, because, you know, you had Jacob, which is Israel, and you had 12 tribes. So you have Israel and the 12th tribe. Right? And this is a DNA. This is like a, you know, you go through the tree, the family tree, and, you know, those who study computer science understand roots, binary tree, right? It's a binary, it's roots, right? It's all binary, because you need mother, father, and then you cross, and, you know, you get what? Option, you know, you go down, and therefore you continue with the binary idea. And, you know, and life is just that analog, right, of those binary, discrete binary things, you know, decision that you take in life. You take, you know, I'm here at a crossroad. Do I take left or right? You always have a choice. And you always have the will to take. But, you know, I could be here. If I don't have will to walk, I will be here all day. You could not take me. I could not move. So that is basically the concept. And, you know, the reason why I'm saying this is because the more and more I meet people, I understand that, you know what, the faith people of faith have abandoned the core message of the faith, and that is not to judge. And if you already have judged me, well, you know, you just have failed to be a human being that is calling himself a person of faith, because you don't know me. You don't know me, and I'm just talking. And if you judge me for my ideas, for my thoughts, for the way I speak, for maybe I talk to myself too much, perhaps, you know, I'm sharing too much information I shouldn't be. No, it's not about that. You're already judging me. And again, if this is your first time listening to this video, you know, maybe this is an opportunity for you as well to just maybe reflect on your life. You know, you don't know a person is talking, and perhaps, you know, regardless you agree with him or not, maybe it's each to his own, and that's the idea. You know, it is, you know, inalienable, meaning you cannot take it from me because, you know, you have that same right. You could do exactly what I'm doing, but you don't want to do it. You don't have the will. Again, it goes back to what? The will. You might be smarter than me. You might be more gifted than me. It doesn't matter, but you have not practicing your gift. And, you know, this is the will, right? Like, you know, I am a man who just so want to practice his gift, right? I left, you know, the corporate world, you know, 3 years ago to start my own business and go about life. That's my natural right to go about life just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. So when I meet people and talk to a lot of people here, and, you know, I get helped, like, again, going back to my, you know, main story, and I was in Lethbridge. So, you know, the idea is this. I was helped here. I slept in the airport the day before. Yesterday was my first night here at a beautiful warm shelter. You know, a lady, you know, has helped me, and she has seen a man in distress, right? And I appreciate. I'm grateful. I have so much gratitude to that. You know, lady, the fact that she looked at me and she just told me, I'm helping you as a human being. It was so hard. It was so hard and so beautiful to hear at the same time. And that's the idea, because listen, you know, all the people of faith, they call themselves faith, and they're going with the Islamism and the labels of shit. You know, get rid of that shit, man. Rid of that shit. Because at the end of the day, if you're a Muslim, you understand that, you know what, it's just a way of life. It's just a way of, you know, practicing of your ritual, so to speak. You know, it's supposed to be Ramadan for you, but it's not. It's not. I'm not fasting now because I'm not a Muslim. So don't judge me. You know, this is why I started this part 1 of the video. I have to upload part 2, because otherwise, you know, I can't keep going. There's not enough storage on my device to share everything in one shot. So, you know, I'm sharing my knowledge. So yeah, alhamdulillah, at the end of the day, you know, you judge a character based on not their belief, not their color, not their, you know, appearance. You judge a person based on the character, the integrity, to speak and do the right thing. That is, you know, their true belief. That's a reflection of their true belief. Because if you're a true believer, you would not cause harm in the story. So when my laptop is stolen at the midst of a supposed to be, you know, a community mosque, private property that belongs to, you know, a community mosque. So supposedly these are all the Muslim brothers and sisters that comes to the mosque and pray 5 times a day. Suddenly the mosque now closes in the face of a person, of a human being, a believer that, you know, calls himself Muslim. It's just he does not practice the same blasphemy and, you know, innovation that you have, you know, been following for, you know, hundreds of years, since the death of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Al-fitna qa'ima. So, you know, you sheeps, I call you sheeps. Yes, you are sheeps, because at the end of the day, you know, I've seen the interaction, you know, the Imam is talking about the end of the time and how justice is, and suddenly, you know, he raises the question of justice, and, you know, how we believers, you know, of faith, you know, we basically believe in the final day and the judgment day and justice that is. I'm like, oh really? So what are you trying to say? So there should be justice in today's world? And the guy looks at me, he's like, oh, it's an excellent question. I'm like, listen, so I'm like, listen, there used to be justice. You know, we go back to the Holy Roman Empire, go back to the, you know, Byzantine Empire, go back to, you know, the Caliphate or the Ottoman Empire. Yeah, there was justice. But at one point, the Stooges, you know, corrupted the entire, you know, so to speak, way of life. And, you know, people have a price for themselves. And, you know, that's why you have what you have. And that's why you're saying what you're saying. Because you have, at the end of the day, you're paid by what? The administration of the mosque. That's what you do. You're not, you know, so you collect the, you know, the mashallah tabarru'at, you collect the donations from the, you know, oblivious masses. Perhaps you're oblivious yourself. But do not tell me there's no justice, just I have to die to. No, listen, man, you have failed to being a person of faith yourself. You have failed to being an imam yourself. But it's okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And this is just the way, as a Muslim, I speak Arabic, you speak Arabic, you are reciting the Quran, mashallah, you have a beautiful voice. And you're teaching the kids, you know, the way of life, and you were playing basketball with the kids outside. Those same kids have seen my stuff on the corner. You've seen my stuff. Don't tell me that the kids are not taught to go and basically stop crime from happening. There's only 2 people that showed up to a gated community mosque in Lethbridge. Gated